On November 11th, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Alfred Yekatom, a former military officer and sitting member of parliament in the Central African Republic. Also known by his nickname Rambo, he was extradited to The Hague on November 17th and had his first appearance in court last Friday, November 23rd. There, he was informed of his charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity for targeting the Muslim populations during the years 2013 and 2014. Among the illegalities were murder, deportation, and torture. Although neither Yekatom nor his lawyers have made any public comments, the suspect has allegedly made accusations stating that during the month before his transfer to The Hague, while in prison, he was beaten and his rights were violated. The 43-year-old has not yet been required to enter a plea to the charges. However, this recent arrest highlights the long-standing instability and violence existing in the Central African Republic. Gaining independence from France in 1960, the CAR has since experienced a variety of leadership and regime changes, spanning from republics to monarchy. Unfortunately, none of which have been effective at unifying or strengthening the country for an extended period of time. Rebellion, hunger, humanitarian violations, and power struggles continue to plague the country. The main contention has predominantly been between the Christian majority and Muslim minority. Since independence, the CAR has experienced 5 coups d'etats, the latest of which being in 2013. In March of that year, a coalition known as the Seleka, a faction of the oppressed Muslim population, seized the capital Bangui, causing the former president to flee and instilling the first Muslim president of the CAR. However, this did not last long. Within a year, there were suspicions of injustices and possible genocide being committed by the group, and international forces such as the United Nations and French troops became involved in the conflict, ousting the president and dissolving the Seleka alliance into smaller groups. This sparked a wave of violence, initially revenge against the Muslim populations, by a group of Christian forces known as the Anti-Balaka. After a transitional period marked by increasingly complex disputes, a president named Touadéra was elected and assumed office in 2016. He still holds the position today, although it seems as though he has not yet been successful at inspiring unity among the people. Yekatom, a commander of the Anti-Balaka, has recently come into the spotlight regarding attacks carried out against the Muslim people during the period when civil war first broke out. The ICC, who has been investigating over 6 years of violence in the region, found evidence that he is responsible for crimes such as the recruiting of child soldiers under the age of 15, the use of brutal rhetoric, and ordering around 3,000 of his members to perpetrate horrendous acts, such as the killing of Selekas and the destruction of Muslim homes and mosques. Some may be wondering what the relevance of the past actions of this one man says about the current state of the country today. The answer is a lot. Yekatom's actions represent the larger problems in the Central African Republic and the lack of proper governance that has existed since gaining freedom from France. And despite the resignation of the Seleka president and the tentative ceasefire between the rebel groups in 2014, the unrest in the country has prevailed, and many would argue escalated. Despite President Touadéra holding office, 80% of the CAR is currently beyond control of the state. And the complexity of the conflicts has only increased. The motivation of the violent groups have grown deeper than just ideological differences. They have evolved into attempts to gain resources such as diamonds and gold. And today, it is not only the Seleka and Anti-Balaka fighting over the wealth and power. There are 14 different armed groups that have control of over 3/4 of the country, leaving a vast number of citizens in perilous conditions and in dire need of relief. The insecurity and absence of authority has led to a huge humanitarian crisis that has not yet been solved. The struggles in the developing country are a cry for help. About 2.5 million people in the Central African Republic, which, to put in perspective, is about half of the population, depends on humanitarian aid to survive. And as a result of the war, over 650,000 people have been internally displaced, and almost 600,000 have fled to neighboring countries. With a Freedom House score of 9 out of 100, it is hard to imagine just how dangerously low the rights and liberties of the people are. One of the main problems in the CAR is impunity. Armed groups, and the individuals leading them, should not have the ability to wreak havoc without consequence. The arrest of Alfred Yekatom illustrates a step in the right direction towards holding those accountable. April 30th is the current date set for when judges will decide whether or not to confirm the charges against Yekatom and continue on with the trial. No matter the outcome, though, This is a noteworthy start made by the International Criminal Court in delivering justice and punishing the crimes committed by all sides. And as for the country as a whole, hopefully it signifies a push towards finally achieving long-awaited stability and peace in the Central African Republic.